What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Bliggity Black with me, Santisha. Y'all, I needed some self-care after experiencing the movie du jour that we're going to talk about today. After experiencing this movie for the first time, I cannot lie, it left a lump in my throat for a few days. I was feeling some kind of way, and then the next day, the acquittal happened, which we knew was going to happen, but it hit different. And yeah, I was not well. I was feeling some kind of way. So I needed to take some time to process my emotions, talk to my therapist first things first, and just kind of, yeah, process and deal with them. But I am so excited to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. This movie, director Shaka King, wake up, flawless, post up, flawless, right around it, flawless. From the set design, the costume design, the soundtrack, the cinematography, like, this movie is so remarkable and so important and timely to finally see a Hollywood movie tell the true story of the Black Panther Party and Chairman Fred Hampton. It needed to be done. Shaka King did what needed to be done. And this movie, I knew the story of Chairman Fred Hampton, and I know the story of the Black Panther Party, but it's still seeing the way Daniel Kaluuya. Can we just take a second to appreciate Daniel Kaluuya? He is. I have been a stan since Get Out. And since then, he has consistently been picking the best roles. Can you think of a bad Daniel Kaluuya movie? No, you can't. And I was, like I said, since Get Out, I was a stan. But after this, it's like I would follow him into the gates of hell. Yeah, he is that dude. And the life that he brought into Chairman Fred. If you look at an interview of Chairman Fred Hampton and then watch this movie, you will be like, damn, from his physicality to the way he spoke, it brought a whole new life to his legacy. And I can only imagine how proud Deborah and Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. are after watching this movie. It takes place. I'm gonna give y'all a little history lesson on top of this, because this movie is Fred Hampton's legacy and the Black Panther Party. But Fred Hampton's era of the Black Panther Party is kind of at the tail end of the party. At this point, they had kind of already been through it. You know what I mean? Huey Newton was in jail. The founders of the party, there were 3 of them. He was in jail. Bobby Seals was in and out of jail. And Eldridge had to flee to Africa. He had to go to Algeria because they were trying to arrest him. So they were kind of in disarray for a little bit. And they had people, being the spokesman, but no one really spoke to the people like those 3 did. So Fred Hampton is 17 when he's running the youth portion of the NAACP. So by the time the Black Panther Party got to Illinois, he was the natural choice to be the Black Panther Party chairman, because he was in Chicago. So Bobby Seals, who is one of the leaders, has a court case in Chicago. And he is in the courtroom and his lawyer doesn't show up, right? So he's like, all right, well, I'll just have to represent myself. And the judge, who was some bigot fucking racist, is like, actually, I don't think so. So Bobby was like, what the fuck you mean you don't think so? Like, I legally have the right to represent myself. And the judge was like, no. So Bobby started popping up, of course, because it's his legal right to represent himself. And the judge was, like I said, such a bigot. He physically had the bailiffs duct tape Bobby Seals, a grown-ass man, duct tape him to his fucking chair and duct tape his mouth so he would stop. And he didn't. So Chairman Fred is in the courtroom. They're all witnessing this like, what the fucking fuck? So after this, Chairman comes out and starts speaking to the people, telling them what he just witnessed. And he is enraged. And people, I've watched interviews with people, and they say that he was like a phenomena. Like, he was unlike anything that they had ever seen before. And he spoke to the people in such a real way. Like, he really like resonated with people. And of course, that shook J. Edgar Hoover to his core. J. Edgar Hoover was truly one of the worst people to ever be of power in our government. He was such a fucking scumbag, racist, garbage fire of a fucking human being. Anything that dealt with Black organizing, that gave equality and power into Black people's hands, J. Edgar Hoover was terrified it would mess up the status quo. So he started the counterintelligence program, and it was basically to discredit, dismember, like dissolve the party, because he was terrified of, like, the movie showcases played brilliantly by Martin Sheen. Like, I know his voice. He's one of those actors, like, you know his voice. I didn't recognize him. Like, they did such a good job making him J. Edgar. And I love Martin. And I was like, oh my God, I hate you. You're doing so good. So J. Edgar was terrified of something he called the Black Messiah. And that was basically a single charismatic leader who could unify the party. And most like terrifying for him was to unify the party and unify outside parties, outside sources, which is exactly what Fred Hampton did, as we saw in the movie. You know, he was bringing together, you know, the other rival parties. He was bringing together Latinx, Asian people. He even got hillbillies. Like, he knew that with, like he said, with where there's people, there's power, and the power is with the people. So he knew what he was doing, and that was terrifying for the FBI and J. Edgar. So they were trying to figure something out. So they start the counterintelligence program. And I mean, they had 290 different programs. 245 of them were just on the Black Panther Party. Like, that's how much he had it out for the Black Panther Party. And that's why it is so embedded in our history books that they're this nationalist Black hate group. You know, like, that's what I was taught growing up in Ohio. And it was my mom who was like, no, baby girl, that's not what they were about at all. All they wanted, which they printed in their paper, that's how they made their money, healthcare, free healthcare. They were starting clinics, the free breakfast program, clothing, land, and equality and peace. Like, they were only about that. So Fred Hampton is the perfect leader for this party. And J. Edgar is terrified, and they find, you know, Bill O'Neill, who's played by Lakeith Stanfield. He just happens to be doing some stupid shit in the wrong place in the wrong time, gets caught, and they basically are like, you can go to jail for almost 10 years, or you can infiltrate the Black Panther Party and be an informant for us. And honestly, if it wasn't Bill O'Neill, it would have been someone. You know, like, Lakeith Stanfield does an amazing job playing Bill O'Neill, because you see, he, as much as, like, yes, he was a fucking rat, he was a snake, he was in a rock and a hard place. Like, he didn't want to go to jail, and I don't think he realized what was actually going to happen until it was too late. And obviously we know what happened to Fred, and I mean, it really was a hit. It was an organized hit against him. And even when they went to make sure he was dead, they were like, one of the cops said, oh, he's barely breathing. And then they shot him twice, point blank. And then they said, now he's really dead. And, you know, I'm getting emotional. The way that first they had a no-knock warrant, and my first thought was Breonna Taylor. And I just the way that they straight up executed him, it you know what's gonna happen, but it still doesn't make it any easier. You know, it's still a tough pill to swallow. And Bill O'Neill had to live with that. He had to live with that. And we saw, and I didn't know this, that there was a documentary made years later about it, and he spoke publicly for the first time, and after it came out, he committed suicide. And that it's something he had to live with for the rest of his life. And I can only imagine the turmoil he was experiencing on the daily. And, you know, this movie is just so timely because it's still happening. And as hard as it is, it really shows the resilience of Black people. And you may put us in a corner, but we will always come back. You know, we can lose people like Fred Hampton, but, you know, we gain, you know, we keep working hard, and we get a Barack Obama, we get a Cori Bush, we get a Stacey Abrams. And that's just, this movie just reminded us that, you know. And I think it's so Gen Zers, like, I hope that they showed this movie in schools to really showcase what the Black Panther Party was about, and Fred Hampton. And I hope more movies get made and really tell the story of this organization that just wanted power to the people. That's all they wanted. And it's everything. I have already watched it twice. Yes, excuse me for getting the clapped. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for watching Bliggity Black with me today. I'll see y'all soon.